This is Fans on the Run, a podcast made by, for, and about Beatlefest. And now, here's your host, Ethan Alexander.
Welcome back to Fans on the Run. That time I said it 6 times. I said my welcome 6 times. It's usually 3. Once I did 5. That was a mistake. I'm not learning from my mistakes. I'm just, I just go for it even more. Going with the flow. All right. Thank you, mystery guest. So we have a guest for you today who, it's quite a treat. How would you describe yourself?
Oh my goodness.
And don't worry if you blank out, I already have a description for you. Good.
I'd probably just as soon hear that.
All right. We have an incredibly talented musician with an enormous and varied repertoire, performed almost exclusively on 12-string guitar. Plus, he's just a humble, genuinely nice human being. And he's a staple of the late-night after-hours jams at the Chicago Fest for Beatles fans. Daniel Phillips, a.k.a. Big D, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, brother. And I thought that was excellently put. I wouldn't have ever said that about myself, but I do appreciate it.
If you want to know a little behind-the-scenes secret, do you want to know who helped me out with that description?
Well, I'm just going to probably guess that he could be from Pennsylvania.
He could be from Pennsylvania. His beard could be a color other than normal.
Yeah, it could be. Scott Erickson is one of those guys that I met through Beatlefest that I would have never ever met in 100 years had I not just been playing one night and got to know him. So that's a perfect example of what the fest has done for me.
Scott Erickson, friend to you and friend to me. All right, so how are you? How have you been handling this quarantine lockdown thing?
Yeah, like probably everybody. I mean, I didn't necessarily think it was going to last all summer, but fortunately for me, my job was one of those that I got to keep working in at a university and basically in a building with nobody else. So I've been fairly not hurt too much by it. Of course, as a musician, I lost every gig I had, and that's my main income. So, but the internet, I was hesitant to even start doing it, and several people suggested I did the internet thing, and that turned into...
Well, your live jams are awesome.
That turned into such a blessing. I didn't think I'd have the confidence to do it, and it is odd because you're singing into the wall essentially,
shouting into the void.
Well, the weirdest thing is in between songs, the song ends and you're just used to hearing somebody either say that was terrible or you're used to that, and then all of a sudden it's just silence but the home of the air conditioner or dogs outside barking,
or just like the dings of the Facebook notifications.
Yeah. And so now I'm at the point where the gigs were, in Indiana at least, we're doing the stage where you can have 50%, and of course the virus is still it's still popping up and getting worse in some places. So I've got gigs booked to replace the gigs I lost in July, and then now they're canceling, and I'm getting other. I mean, it is very difficult because you don't know when, you really don't know what's going to happen, and I understand the bar side of it. They're not sure what's happening either. Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of private parties in July.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to say, if you're listening out there, wear your fucking mask.
No kidding.
I keep hearing excuses for why people don't wear masks.
Yeah.
And they're all so full of shit. Like,
well, I tell you, the gig I just played, I didn't see anybody in the place with a mask. But it was one of those. I don't know what people are thinking.
Fucking smooth-brained people.
Well, it's not going to go away. I mean, I think that's been shown.
Yeah.
And the more and more there are get-togethers without it, the worse it's going to get. And they're fearing that it's just going to end up shutting everything down again.
Yeah.
That'll be terrible.
It also is probably just social Darwinism, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on a lighter note, let's talk about the Beatles.
Oh gosh, who are they?
No, that's a different group altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was always a Stones guy.
Really?
Just kidding.
Okay,
just
good.
I have a bunch of Stones records and Kinks records, but
I love the Stones and the Kinks. Their Satanic Majesty's Request is one of my favorite albums.
Yes.
That's a very controversial choice, but I will
Indeed.
stand by that, and I will fight.
You're in the rarity there.
Well, I'm a big fan of half the album.
Right.
The other half is unlistenable, but when it's good, it's good.
That's right.
Like the Bill Wyman song "In Another Land." Fantastic.
It's just the fact it's Bill Wyman. You know, what can you say?
Yeah.
He doesn't ever get the light shown on him, I should say.
Yeah. And especially with such a song like "In Another Land." It sounds like it could have been on like the first Syd Barrett Pink Floyd album.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what it reminds me of. So it was ahead of its time.
I'm going to keep sidetracking myself because I'm just going to ramble about how much I love Syd Barrett's stuff.
No, we could roll into that easy. Like you say, my list of songs to dial from is loaded with Floyd, and I mean it's I learned a little bit about everything.
What's your favorite early Pink Floyd song?
She whiz. Now see, it's been such ages, and I got on vinyl the what album had C. Emily playing all that on there?
Since you're American, I'm gonna guess Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Yeah, that's the one I got on vinyl, and it's been ages since I rarely play anything from that because nobody really knows it. But see, you'd show up and yell me to play it.
I would show up and yell at you.
I got one guy in this town that's his whole goal in life is to get me to play a set of Syd Barrett.
That's a fantastic goal.
But then I think he'd be the only person in the building that would even have a clue what it was.
I mean, the songs are good songs regardless, so...
Oh, yeah. I couldn't get with the 12-string by itself.
You wouldn't get booed off the stage.
I mean, I do a lot of, the Dark Side of the Moon era stuff, too. Yeah. That's usually more what I do, really.
But, if I was there and I heard you kick into Arnold Lane or something...
Well, I can do Arnold Lane. It's on the list.
I would just about shit my pants.
I haven't done that in ages now. I'm going to have to get a guitar back out and make sure I know how to play it because I expect you're probably going to request that.
I'm going to request that tomorrow night.
I'll be working on it tomorrow.
Fantastic. But again, I'm going to ramble about early Pink Floyd and why I have deep disdain for Dave Gilmour, even though I love him for, it's not his fault that Syd Barrett's not in the group.
He walked into a great situation, and I'm sure the pressure was immense on him.
Yeah.
Doing it, but it's a shame Barrett didn't get to experience the success level.
Mm-hmm. But we did get some good albums from him, like the Madcap Laughs. Sure. Not a big fan of the second one, but I love the Madcap Laughs.
I'm going to have to get it all back out because it's been ages. I don't think I have much of his solo stuff hardly at all.
Well, it's hard to find.
Yeah. Well, the Piper album I got was just at some party. A guy had it, and I was like, man.
I rarely like to buy things off of eBay, but I did buy not an original, but an early British pressing of Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which didn't have C. Emily play, but it had.
Well, that's what
it had Astronomy Domini, or I don't even know how to say that.
I forgot how cool that song was, though. As soon as I get done with this, I'm going to have to get all that back out.
Oh, please do.
You're messing with my night.
Before I go back to the Beatles, are you familiar with the Dukes of Stratosphere?
I am. Isn't the guitar player, is that the guy that the Jorgensen guy plays for, or am I got the wrong band?
I'm not sure. Dukes of Stratosphere is just XTC under a different name.
Oh, well, I know. That's probably somebody different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play... I've got a couple of them on my list, but I can't think of.
Ever since I had John Montagna on my show, and he brought up the Dukes of Stratosphere to me, I can't stop listening to them.
Well, see, I'm writing this down right now on my little list of things to check out when I get done, and that'll be. I've heard the name before, but I don't think I've actually checked it out.
Check out their first EP, 25 O'Clock. It's if you like that really trippy British psychedelia, you'll love it.
Well, it'll be right up my alley then.
All right, Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. When did you first discover the Beatles?
Well, let's see, Ethan. It was a long, long time ago.
In a galaxy
Uh,
far, far away.
yes, yes. I'm in my 50s. Uh, the Beatles, and I was born in the 60s. I really don't have any recollections of them as they were the Beatles in the 60s. My parents tell me that I sang Yellow Submarine quite a bit when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I remember seeing the Hey Jude Revolution 45 that a friend of mine's brother had.
Mm-hmm.
I think really the first time I really knew was my dad had a cassette tape he recorded off the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it, I think it was probably when they broke up.
Mm-hmm.
There were all the radio shows were coming out with a history of the Beatles and then look back at the Beatles. And so I had this little yellow tape, which I still have to this day, and I would play it constantly. And so my mom in 73, she brought home the red album, the double album.
Mm-hmm.
And then I begged her and begged her and begged her for the blue album the next day. And that's really where, I think Please Mr. Postman was my favorite, and it wasn't on either one of those albums. And so for me, from 73 on, I think I picked up a ukulele and started learning how to play with the records. We didn't have, tablature or anything like that in those days. You had to put the needle on the record.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in Canada. Do you remember Klaatu by any chance?
I do remember Klaatu. I love Klaatu.
I have everything Klaatu's ever released. I'm a huge fan of Klaatu.
I only have one of the Klaatu albums.
That's probably the one with the big sun on the front.
Yeah, and it's on Daffodil Records.
Yeah, that's great because that's the original label.
Mm-hmm. It's not a first pressing because I know the first pressings didn't say Klaatu.
Well, in Canada they didn't. They did in America, but.
Well, in America it was on Capitol, wasn't it?
Capitol. Everybody thought it was the Beatles, man. Me and my dad listened to that over and over and over, trying to decipher who was who.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good music on its own. I love Calling Occupants.
Oh man, that whole
of Interplanetary.
That whole album. I mean, and then the next one was Hope, which was complete. It was it was orchestrated and if you get a chance to get them, I mean, all of them are. Only one that's kind of weak is their fourth one, and that one was, they were basically told to have a hit.
Well, the good thing here is how hard is Klaatu out, or how hard are their albums to find in the States?
I bought them when they came out. I didn't even know that the fifth one had been released until I joined like an audiophile group that was all Canadians. I'm a member of it now, and they were like, "You've never heard Magenta Lane?" I went, "What?" I didn't even know anybody who Klaatu was, from down here.
Because you can find them in the record bins here for like $5 a pop.
Oh my gosh! Well, I don't think I've got a Daffodil one at all. I think all of mine are Capitol, and they re-released them all, and they redid them all on digital, cleaned them up, and I mean I've got all of them on CDs, and there's been a couple of sets put out with some kind of like anthologies of Klaatu, which I've got all that.
Next Beatlefest, if we're both going, I'll bring you a Daffodil Klaatu album.
That'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, they are very much not hard to find here.
Well, I can't say I see them at all down here, but most people.
Well, Daffodil Records didn't exist in the States.
No, and I know a couple of the guys. Jamie Vernon. I don't know. He played in some bands up there. He kind of had his own record, Target, I think, Bullseye Records. And he kind of re-released some of the stuff. So he sent me a crate of records one time of a bunch of Canadian kind of hard rock type stuff, which I love, Gatto and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. 'Cause I know Daffodil also did some fantastic reissues.
Yeah.
Some of the only reissues of the immediate record stuff that came out in England.
Right.
So all of the good Small Faces, Amen Corner, P.P. Arnold.
Yeah, that'd be...
All that good stuff.
I would love to go to Canada and hit one of them damn shops is what I'd love to do.
Well, I didn't say you could find those reissues easy.
Right.
And if anyone's going to be finding that, some repressing of Ogden's Nut Gone Flake by the Small Faces, I'm going to be buying that record.
I've got it twice down here, but that's the coolest record sleeve in the planet.
I have a British pressing from about 75.
Yeah, I think I've got mine are later. I think they're one of them was the special. Oh, the vinyl's thick. Yeah, it's on the shelf right now. Looking over there, I got two of them, but one of them
Yeah.
was the super thick. When they I can't think what you call that. Half
100
speed. Yeah, yeah,
180
yeah,
gram.
yeah, yeah.
But it's such a fantastic album.
I know. I guess what's the one that's the big hit off of that?
Lazy Sunday.
I do one of them off that album. It's the one everybody knows, or if they know any Small Faces, that's the one they tend to recognize.
I know the big hit over here was Itchy Coo Park.
Yeah, that's it. But
that wasn't on.
It's not on that album.
No.
Oh shit.
It was a single from like '67.
I wonder if they added it on this reissue, because it sure does seem like it's on this thing.
Well, I mean, the Small Faces stuff, I love them. Some of it kind of sounds like the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jam rock,
Jam rock. Well, I love all that mod stuff from the 60s, especially when they started taking uppers and the music got really fucking trippy and up like fast.
I just read Dave Davies's book a second time and reading all about the Kinks, and I don't know how anybody was alive from those days.
Oh, everyone was on speed.
I don't understand how anybody lived through all of that.
Yeah. Love Dave Davies. My favorite Kinks song is actually a Dave Davies song, technically. Death of a Clown.
Yeah, well, that was a great tune. I just put the book down not more than a week ago. And then I went on a big Kinks listening stage.
I can't sing for shit, so I shouldn't even try.
Well, I like this no delay stuff now. I don't have to think about it.
For the listeners at home, because I'll have edited this out, we were experiencing, if I could say the words, we were experiencing some technical difficulties, but now everything is smooth sailing.
Or as I say, welcome to the world of Big D.
Welcome to the world of Big D.
Yes.
Tagline for that tagline for the episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, Red and Blue albums. Please,
right.
Mr. Postman. You were saying something about those.
Yeah, it wasn't on that album, and that was probably my favorite. And but every day I would come home from school, and we had a little Panasonic turntable, and I would just stare at the album, and I really liked the early stuff. I think I was 12, and so it became a thing in my family. Every time my parents would, my birthday, Christmas, anything like that, they would, that's what I would get. I would get a Beatle album. I think the next one I got was the Parlophone Beatles for Sale.
Really?
Which was, you didn't see that one. She went to Chicago for some reason and brought that back, and it had the gatefold, and it was a different, the sound was already a lot better than any of their other records. And then 76 came along, 1976, and it was a resurgence. The rock and roll album came out that the album didn't look, it was, I still got the silver.
The album cover looks like dog
oh my Lord.
shit.
Well, it looks like it should be a Beach Boys record.
Oh yeah.
A surfer record, but it had songs.
It looks like something that would come from one of Mike Love's Wet Dreams.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
But so then even my local store started carrying every Beatles album. Everyone, because I bought all the books, so I knew what they were. I was, I got to get this, I got to get that. And I think I got Meet the Beatles at one time earlier. Before that happened, though, my dad got me the White Album, and so that would have been the first time. I remember kind of being, I guess the word is scared of it, because I had read the Helter Skelter book. I had heard all about the Manson connotations and all of that, as untrue as it all was. Still, you can't help but hear it when you're 13, 14 years old. And, Dad called me from the wherever they were at a party and said, "What are you thinking of it?" I said, "Well, I totally, back in the USSR was great. Dear Prudence was kind of cool, but Glass Onion just kind of freaked me out. Now it's probably in my top 3 easily after that, but the White Album."
What the fuck even is a Glass Onion?
Yeah, well, I don't know what a dovetail joint is. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. And then
you don't.
The wild glass, the wild honey,
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, I was like, what? And Happiness is a Warm Gun. And I mean, and of course, I was praising George Harrison's guitar work on While My Guitar Gently Weeps, bragging to my buddies, Ace Frehley, who's that? You got to hear this, only to discover it was Clapton late years later.
Right. I'll take it you weren't insulting Ace Frehley, though.
No. I'm an Ace man. I'm an Ace man.
I'm an Ace man.
Even though I was a Beatles guy, around me, everybody in my age group, we had Aerosmith and Styx, and back when Styx in Kansas and Journey were much more hard rock and band than they became. So but I did have the battles with my Kiss friends. Gene Simmons is God, and I say no, John Lennon, and we'd have those battles. But by far, Aces was my favorite solo album of all of them by far.
Well, it's the best. It's the best one by
far.
Yeah,
you can't not even to one cut.
Like the only competition is, there's some songs on Paul Stanley's that are all right.
Gene's got a couple I can listen to,
Well, one of them's got Mitch Weissman on it.
Oh yeah. I met Mitch a few times. Yeah. I got a great Mitch story actually.
Oh.
Well, I'll make it quick. My mom, unfortunately, is a smoker, and she ran out of cigarettes, and she went down to get them at the Hyatt, and they were everything up there is 3 times more expensive than anything. Well,
of course.
And she's at the counter, and the guy says this, and she doesn't bring her down her credit card. So she has no money. Who would be standing there but Mitch Weissman? And what would he do? He laid down the cash for my mom to buy those cigarettes, which I thought was ultra cool. So I saw him the next day and thanked him for it. And his girlfriends, or whoever she was, she said, I'm glad nobody gets to see that side of Mitch very often.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool.
I've been trying to get Mitch on the show. So by the time this episode comes out, I may have already recorded an episode with him.
He will have a lot more stories to tell you than I will, for sure.
What are you talking about? You're Big D.
Well, that's true, but think about what Mitch Weissman has seen and done.
Yeah. So, White Album scares you?
Well, it did. I mean, I was a kid, so I mean, I was so used to She Loves You and From Me to You and Misery. I mean, I got introducing the Beatles too pretty young on. My family was smart, they didn't go for the obvious ones, and I didn't get Rubber Soul and that till probably like that 76 year. I begged and begged and begged because the albums were all there. They were on the bins looking at me, and I said, I'll never get these again. There were some Odeon, from Germany that I don't know why they were there. They were from all over the world, and I said I'd do all sorts of chores. I'd do whatever I had to do, and so Christmas came and they wouldn't let me know. And I got like a couple of boxes, and you knew they were records, and they apologized, says, we really wish we could have got you more of them, but we couldn't. And of course I feigned disappointment. And then the last big present of the day, was this big box, and there was like 25 Beatles records in it. So I was
25.
I was in freaking heaven. I mean, there's a picture I have of me upstairs. There was a little cove in my parents' house, and I'm holding the Let It Be album, and I just had this complete shit-eating, look on my face with my dark rimmed, Elvis, Buddy Holly glasses. And I was freaked because, in the Let It Be album, at one point they sing, "Oh, Danny boy," and I was like, oh shit, they just said my name. So yeah, so I'm very, very lucky because my parents supported, who else is going to buy? Because he'd already bought, probably 10 other ones, So yeah, I had about all the Beatle records by the time I was 15. And then it was, I did grow up with John and Paul and George, putting out records, and Ringo's first, the Ringo album, and 33 1/3 was right in the prime of my life. Of course, Wings was, Band on the Run, and Venus and Mars.
Band on the Run? Never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know where that one came from. I'm pretty sure that was the Byrds, I think. Now that I think about it. But, so I grew up in that era,
Now you're going to get me thinking about the fucking Byrds.
Yeah, I'd love the Byrds, dude. I'm a 12-string player. How can you not love the Byrds?
I'm a 12-string player too. I bought an electric 12-string, and the first thing I played was Turn, Turn, Turn.
Oh, well, you got to. You got to play Turn, Turn, Mr. Tambourine Man, and I mean, he still has the greatest
Yeah.
12-string tone.
That banjo picking kind of
Yeah.
style. And I'm still yearning for a jangle box one of these days.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends here, he bought a, I don't know, what is it, a 330? I'm not sure what the model number is, but
330 or a 360.
He took it to St. Louis where McGuinn was playing, and he signed his pick plate.
Oh, wow.
Picked on it a little bit. And I said, so McGuinn has touched this guitar? And unfortunately, he pawned that thing, and I told him, if you ever going to do anything with that, let me know. That's how that go. I don't even own a Rickenbacker. That's, that's probably my dying wish.
I have a Rickenbacker copy.
Well,
it's not in working order either.
Uh-oh.
It's sitting in my closet. It doesn't have a bridge on it. I need to put a new bridge. I need to put a new tailpiece. I think I need to refinish it.
Oh, you got a lot of work to do then.
Yeah.
I just don't see him down here. Up in Chicago once, John, the guitar player, I was going to fill in with somebody, and they asked if I could get her. If I had one, I didn't. And John said, well, just take this one. They just handed me his Ricky.
Oh, wow.
And then he said he knew a guy that was going to sell one. And I just didn't. They don't go cheap.
Oh, no, they don't.
So but he let me, I had the thing all night in my room. It just sat there in its glory. I took a whole bunch of pictures of it. It was almost like a pinup poster. I laid it on the pillow. I put it across the blankets. I put special lighting on it and all that kind of stuff.
My buddy has a 330 and he loves it, but hopefully I can get my knockoff in working order.
Yeah,
it's a Tokai, so those things are good quality, but it doesn't have a bridge.
Just to have that theme plate that has that Rickenbacker on it. I just don't see him around here in my neck of the woods.
You barely see him up here either.
Yeah,
I was lucky because every day I would get in the habit of the Canadian equivalent of Craigslist, Kijiji. I would just search Rickenbacker 325.
Right.
And then one day a listing came up for a copy of a Rickenbacker 325. Guy didn't know how much to charge, so he just charged 325.
Oh.
And so I never fucking clicked. Like, I'm interested fast enough.
Yeah, I really would like to do it. I mean, you can go on eBay and you see them, but like you say, you're scared. You don't really know.
Yeah.
I think if I wanted one, I have enough friends out there that I could find one. I just can't lay down the.
Well, and they make some decent copies out of China now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think the last one that I got was an SG. It's a genuine Gibson. It's a 72. It's a custom, so it's 3 pickups. And that was a girl who had it years ago when I saw it, and I said, if you ever get rid of this thing, I never thought I'd see it again. And one day she came out of nowhere, said, I'm in need of money, and she said these things are like $3,500. I said, I can't do that. I think I ended up paying $1,800 for it.
What?
Yeah.
For a 72 SG.
72 SG custom triple pickup
mahogany. You lucky.
Oh, it's
lucky fucker.
It's sitting to my left right this very second.
Oh, does it have the well, no, it wouldn't, because it'd be too late. The Maestro Vibrola.
No, it didn't have that. And it's the neck is a different they let me use it years ago in the band I was in. I played one night with it, and I was like, holy crap, it feels different. The neck is a different shape than, because I've got Les Pauls and I've got V's and they all feel a little bit different. I don't know what they called that. If it's seen, I'm not sure what it was, but it's weird. The triple pickup is weird. I'm not used to triple pickups. The action is low.
I'm eyeing up, the triple pickup SG in cream with the Vibrola.
Oh my gosh, I know, man. Is that
the Mary Kay? I think.
Those are.
Oh no, the Mary Ford.
Mary Ford. It'd be hard to pick between the two.
Yeah.
If they were right in front of me like that.
I was getting confused with the Mary Kay Stratocaster, which is the blonde with the gold hardware.
And that's freaking beautiful too.
Oh, it is.
I just have to stop spending money on guitars. That's just all there is to it.
Well, but
my wife says, what else would you need? And I said, well, you got a pen and paper? Because, I'd like to have this and like to have this. And
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where there really is. I just got kind of on a.
Do you have a Gretsch?
That's just what I was going to tell you. I got a. It's not top dollar Gretsch. It's like 900 Gretsch.
Well, that's still a Gretsch. One of them Electromatics.
It's Electromatics. Exactly what it is. It's got the the modern Bixby on it, and I got it not that long ago. Again, another friend who
is it double cut or single cut?
It's single cut.
Ah.
And it kicks ass. I mean, on my show maybe a month ago, I tried to do a deal where I did While My Guitar Gently Weeps on acoustic up to the solo, and then I hit the looper and picked up the Gretsch. I don't know why I didn't pick up the SG.
Yeah.
And played the solo on that, which was pretty cool. But now people keep wanting me to do that, and it's hard to do that up here without messing everything up.
Yeah. One of these days, I want to get one of those Squier Classic Vibe Strats, just so I can paint it like the Rocky Strat.
Oh, that would be cool. I've got a Squier Telly that I could do that with. I don't know I got a friend who did that, and he dipped it into a barrel, like had a bunch of paint in a barrel, and kind of he did some cool stuff like that.
Kind of a tie-dye.
Yeah. It came out. That's random. I don't know how it looked cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he ever put it back together and worked though, but it looked cool. You're more adventurous than me.
I wouldn't say so. So, what do the Beatles mean to you?
Holy moly. That's tough.
It's always one of the tougher questions.
Yeah, because for me, it represents. I'm trying to think, put my finger on it. I mean, the first thing I think of is I think of my dad probably and my mom, and I think of it brings me back to my youth growing up, because that's all I did was go home and play guitar and get in bands, and I went on the road and played in hard rock bands. I played in metal bands, and so I went through the Iron Maiden and Scorpions, and I did the big Southern rock thing with Skinner and Blackfoot and all that. But the circle always came back around the Beatles, and I think anytime I need to feel good, or anytime if you're down, or it seems like I put on something Beatles.
It's comfort music.
And I think the other cool thing about the Beatles is every album was just different. I mean, once you get past the first two or three, every album had a different vibe and feel, and like an album like Revolver, and really the White Album, and really all of them after that, maybe not Sgt. Pepper so much, but I mean, you go from country to
like, for some reason, this is kind of related. The Beatles for Sale album makes me feel like I'm sitting at a campfire. I don't know why. It's that and side B. It's that and side B of the UK Help.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can only relate, like I don't know how it was in Canada, but we got, I hated that too. I hated that I didn't know it at the time, but listening to Revolver now, it's all the UK stuff.
No, we got the fucked up track listings in Canada too.
And I know it didn't just happen to Beatles. I know the Sweet, and even in the 70s they did that. But
with the Sweet, I think the album that you ended up getting here was a bit more bang for your buck if you just wanted
I think so.
to. Well, because it had the single version of Fox on the Run and Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, I didn't even know it had the funky version. I mean, I just went through my Sweet CDs last night, and I was going back, Coco and all that stuff that they were the UK versions. Like, what the hell is this? This is not on this isn't on this album that I've got on my shelf. And the Sweet's another one I thoroughly love.
I've been delving more into the Sweet lately. I found a 45 in my basement in this box of 45s my dad gave to me for a birthday one year. And there was a 45 of The Lies in Your Eyes.
Wow.
And I had never heard that song before.
No, they got a bunch of albums, that I don't think sold nothing, or if they did, they didn't do much.
And then I heard Love Is Like Oxygen.
Oh my Lord.
Teenage Rampage.
I saw Sweet, and guess who they opened for?
Who?
Yeah, Bob Seger.
Oh, wow. That
And
seems
this
like
was
a bit of a reverse.
yeah, well, indeed it was. It was in the Terre Haute, and everybody
Well,
in the
which
place.
suite did you see?
Well, this is even odder because it was sweet. It was Love Is Like Oxygen tour. It was that album, but the singer had been busted the night before in St. Louis and wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was three-piece. Of course, the bass player, he sang.
Andy Scott.
Andy, well, he sang, and nobody in the place cared. They were there for Seeger. Seeger was he was the hot item back in those days, and I was the only one in the whole place. I mean, I was like, every song was killing me, and they did a big giant drum solo because I later learned the singer wasn't there. People were booing and all sorts of shit, and I was like, this is sweet, for God's sake. And nobody knew Love Is Like Oxygen. It hadn't really hit FM radio yet.
Wait, okay, no, I got that mixed up. Andy Scott is the guitar player.
Well, I was going to say, yeah.
Steve Priest is the bass player. He just passed away.
Yeah, and he was doing a sweet version, and another guy was doing another, or I think Andy Scott's doing a sweet version. Who had the sky high voice? Wasn't that the guitar player?
That was I don't know. I think it was the guitar player.
I'm always looking at videos trying to see who's grabbing, to try to squeeze those notes out.
Because I've heard live versions of both of the versions, and you can hear the really high stuff more in the Andy Scott version, but that could just be they also have a backup singer.
Well, and these days electronically, you can emulate that stuff pretty effectively.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's Andy Scott, really.
Yeah. But Love Is Like Oxygen, man.
Especially the extended version. When it goes off into that whole other stuff. And I play that one in my shows sometimes, if somebody says, because we used to play Fox on the Run and, of course, Ballroom Blitz and AC/DC and stuff like that. But that's the one on the acoustic I like to throw out just to see who really knows their suite and who doesn't.
Love is like oxygen.
And I use this Boss, this Digitech, a Vocal Pro thing that you got to program and
a harmonizer.
So I can really get the whole giant thing going when I want to. Yeah, that's the greatest gift for a singing musician that has nobody else with them.
Mm-hmm.
It borderlines on cheating, but you still have to sing it.
You're not cheating.
Well, I tell the people that say that, I say, you have to hit the note right, or you got four-part harmony of crap. Yeah. And then you have to play the stuff right because it follows what you're doing. It takes some adjusting to. I don't like it to be over the top. I like it to kind of be right in the back. But man, the first time I did it, guy, do Nowhere Man, and so it changes how it sounds. I mean, when you're doing an Eagles song and every verse has four-part harmony, it gets pretty boring when it's just you by yourself doing it.
What's your opinion on Roy Wood?
Well, I love Wizard. I have 2 or 3 Wizard albums, and I've got a couple of Move albums.
Love the Move. I love the Move so much.
I haven't, you don't hear much of that. At least you never did hear much about it where I was at. Mm-hmm. I only found out I got a Wizard album through the, ELO connection. What was it? Idle Race is another one, I think.
I love the Idle Race.
I've got an Idle Race record. Is that the only one they ever put out?
Wait, you have an Idle Race record?
I have it on vinyl.
Oh Jesus, those are precious.
But I'm sure I got it in somebody sold me. I mean,
the only one that came out in North America was The Birthday Party.
I think that's it. I could see the album cover on the top. If it was easy to maneuver up here, I would go look at it.
Like the 2 guys, one of them's Jeff Lynne, and then there's 2 guys at the bottom, and they're standing in front of an invitation.
It's kind of is it like a purplish looking cover?
Well, it was like multicolored.
That's definitely it. Yeah, it was kind of trippy a little bit looking at it. Mm-hmm. I listened to that maybe about a month ago because it's not something you really find a whole lot of, even online.
Morning Sunshine.
I didn't know it was that rare.
Morning Sunshine off of, I think it's side B, is one of my favorite songs ever.
That's cool. And a Wizard, I went through the phase where I listened to a whole lot of, I don't know about you, but I just get in phases where I just go grab a pile, I'll go and just grab 7 or 8 records off the rack and just put them on, and wherever the fancy leads. And that's kind of how that happens is Wizard came through the ELO early ELO phase.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he doesn't get a whole lot of. He does if you know any history, but the average person doesn't realize.
But when you listen to that first ELO album, it's like the sound is like half Roy Wood. 10538 Overture.
It's clearly where it came from. There's no question where Jeff Lem took what he. It's just a shame again he didn't get the notoriety that.
Well, he did get inducted with the rest of them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I remember seeing that. He looked a lot different than the rest of those guys did.
Oh yeah. A good old Woody though, he still looks kind of the same as he did in 1970.
Which was insane.
Yeah. Still with the crazy hair.
He should have been in Arthur Brown's. That's who he should have been in. It was
Arthur Brown. Arthur Brown. I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you.
Heavy verb.
Oh yeah. Another record on Track Records, one of my favorite labels.
Yeah. We're going to need a whole nother show to talk about all the other music that we like.
Well, I'm thinking of, this is going to break the fourth wall for any of our listeners. As of recording, I'm thinking of starting a new show. I've already reached out to John Montana for an episode where I sit down with a guest, we pick an album, and we go through track by track, just saying what we like, what we don't like. Just go track by track.
Now that's putting yourself out there too, because you're going to offend somebody somehow.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. It's my show.
That's right.
Yeah. If they don't like it, then they can go listen to another show.
That's right. They can be fans on the move.
Yeah. Fans on the move. I am a fan of the move.
Well, I was in high school. I had a buddy, and we would look in the import section in I don't know what magazine it was. Might have been Kerrang. That was kind of a heavy metals thing.
Kerrang or Cream.
Yeah, we would pick ones, and I'd buy a couple, and he'd buy a couple. That way, we'd have four between us, and we would do that. We would sit down and act like we were critiquing it. What do you think of this, and what do you think of that? And so we kind of did that kind of stuff. We didn't have things like what you're doing here, which would have been cool because we would have done that. I'm sure we would record ourselves on a cassette player, for our own enjoyment.
So when you say you like the move, which kind of move stuff is the move you like? Is it like the earlier, or is it like the later California Man?
Well, I loved California Man because we did the Cheap Trick version of that for years on the road. I'm not going to.
I just tracked down an original British copy of the first Move album from a local store, and I was such a happy boy. I'm thinking I lean towards the earlier stuff. Flowers in the Rain.
Yeah.
Fire Brigade.
It has been a while since I've put any of it on. California Man, I know, obviously, because that's the one that, I remember when we learned it long when I had Cheap Tricks in color. I wasn't in color, whatever it was. It was said it was written by it. I thought, well, wait a minute, that's not Cheap Trick. Who's that? And then that's when you go back and go, oh, well, hell, that's cool.
And they also did the original version of Do Ya, which was later done by ELO, but also later done by Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good cover too. Perfect for Ace.
I heard the Ace cover before I heard the original.
Really?
Yeah. So I had no idea who the Move, or at the time I didn't even know who ELO were.
Yeah, well, I knew ELO because Do Ya has that passage, and there she was with her, that one little section in the middle where the bridge is. It's one of my favorite ones in the world. I love, ELO. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the poppy ELO later on, but what a New World record, man, that one will.
New World record, Out of the Blue.
Yeah.
El Dorado.
And I liked Twilight. That was a little bit later on, but the first cut on that record, I remember we would play that, as a warm up thing through the PA because it just sounded humongous.
I actually really do like, this is gonna ruin all my credibility, the Xanadu soundtrack.
Well, I don't dislike.
Well, I like the ELO parts.
Any of it. I mean, Scotty and Erickson and I were hacking about this the other night to get Chicago, because he was talking about that he loves Chicago, but
I think I saw this.
He was like, he was like, and he knew him later. Yeah, there is an age difference, you know, and I didn't think, of course, then he played a great version of one of the early Chicago things. I'm not familiar so much with the later years Chicago at all. I mean, I don't dislike it, but that's the way with a lot of the bands that I grew up with. They all kind of got into hit mode. Kansas and Queen and all of that. They were so different by the end of them, you know, compared to what they were when I was growing up. I used to love to bring people to the house because I know it's hard to believe this, Ethan, but after our gigs, we would actually get together and, you know, listen to records and drink lemonade and eat Pop-Tarts deep into the evening. And
lemonade?
So, yeah. I would love to. It was electric lemonade. I loved to put a record on and say, you're never going to guess who this is. And, you know, it'd be fun to watch the younger people who just had no clue. You know, well, this was Journey into the Future. Journey, that doesn't sound like Steve Perry, because there wasn't Steve Perry. He wasn't in the band. You know, or Kansas, some big opus, you know, an 8-minute long, you know, The Prophet or something like that. And that's Kansas. That is Kansas. That's when, in an old wooden nickel stick song, and something off Crystal Ball or Equinox, or, you know,
anything pre Grand Illusion.
Yeah. I mean, and I can even deal with Grand Illusion, okay, but then it starts to, when we got into Cornerstone with Babe and that, I was gone.
Then you get into Kilroy Was Here, and it's just self-parody.
I was gone then. I was that's not the stick side. I mean, give me Sweet Madam Blue and Light Up and that kind of stuff. But you know, they're not going to make any money doing that. So there's and Ariel, from my neck of the woods, Ariel Speedwagon used to play clubs, you know, in my neck of the woods. So did Cheap Trick, and you know, they were terrific. Ariel was, my gosh, live they were phenomenal. And then they got on the hit train, and just to me they became a, you know, nothing of what they were in the 70s, you know. But you know, I'm not knocking them. I would want that dough too.
Yeah. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
Now I do want you on my new show whenever this happens. What album would we talk about?
Oh my gosh, we've already named.
Well, we've already name dropped Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Yeah, it would just be who you want to, because you'd probably want something that people could argue with us about, I suppose.
I don't care. I just want to pick an album that I would enjoy talking about.
Well, we got to think about that one. There's too many to think about right now. But I definitely chalk me down. I'm into it.
We've already talked about Piper. We've already talked about the Idle Race. Train
we're it could be an ELO thing, because that's kind of universal, you know.
Yeah. All right, back to the Beatles. Who are they? I'm gonna hit you with some quick fire questions.
All right.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
Again, that's an insane question to ask a Beatles guy.
Top 5.
If I had to go off the top, I'm going to sound like a Lennon guy, because probably Dear Prudence is the one I always thoroughly love.
That's all right.
And you know, I'm a big Rain guy, a fan of Rain.
I am a big Rain endorser too. Every instrument on that track, every instrument. The drums are fantastic. Ringo's best.
I'm reading the Rodriguez book, the Revolver. I haven't read it yet. I'm halfway through it, where I'm at the Rain section where
it's called like how the Beatles reinvented rock and roll or something like that.
Yes, and I'm digging it, because it's, you know, most of that stuff, when you've been into Beatles as long as me and a lot of people, books are hard to find good books because you've read everything. And I got about 140 Beatle books on the shelf.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So
I thought I was bad.
I know I'm one of those idiots that even something like Flock of Seagulls, if I get the record, I've got to get all of them.
Yeah. I got
to find all of them. The collection is incomplete without every Foreigner record, even though some of them I don't like.
Yeah.
I got to have it.
Now I'm curious. You said you have about 6,000 records.
Yeah.
What album would you say you have the most copies of?
Oh my gosh. Well, Beatles, I got copies of stuff because I can't resist when I find them. And
Yeah.
you always want to, there's
Yeah.
always differences in pressings and,
Yeah.
the
You
labels
end
are
up-
different.
I'm relatively early into my collection, I'd say, compared to my lifespan.
Yeah.
And I already have about 9 copies of, like, Rubber Soul.
Wow. Well, you got me beat. I don't think I've got, there's a couple of Zeppelin ones I've got 2 or 3. I usually, unless it's something special.
Yeah. Unless
something
it's
different
like a
about
MoFi or,
Yeah,
cool
if
Japanese import.
if there's something different about the label or a misprint, or like sometimes the Beatles logos here, sometimes it's on there, and
And with Zeppelin, you'd want for Zeppelin 2, the Robert Ludwig mix.
Yeah, so you got a lot of knowledge on that stuff. Probably a whole lot more than I do. I think the Badfinger, I got everything on Badfinger, and I think I've got two or three of straight up. And
I'm a fraud. I don't have any Badfinger.
Oh
I
man,
want more Badfinger.
They are my tight number 2. I mean, I probably would. Oh man, I don't think I should say this.
You can say it.
Oh, I don't know.
You can say it. Trust me, this is a safe space.
I'm telling you, there are times that I would almost put on the Badfinger before I put on Beatles.
That's acceptable.
Because the Straight Up album and No Dice and the Ass album, and then the 2 Warner Brothers albums.
I don't really like the 2 Warner Brothers.
Well, they got a girl on you, I suppose. I Wish You Were Here.
Didn't one of them not even have Pete Ham?
No, they all had Pete Ham. Now, Joey left. All of those albums had everybody except Magic Christian. Joey hadn't joined yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Joey left. I think right after the last Wish You Were Here. The album that they come out with later, Head First, that didn't have Joey. And that's a hell of a story. And I'm friends with, I'm friends with Joey. I got friends who are friends with Joey, and he seems like a heck of a good guy. But what a story that band has.
Oh yeah.
But the albums are songwriting. They're another band like the Beatles, this is what I like about the Beatles, is that you've got 3 true songwriters. You can throw Ringo in there. I'm not dissing him, but I mean,
peace and love.
Yeah. But and with Badfinger, you've got Pete and Tom and Joey. You got 3, and then Gibbons wrote some songs too. I mean, I thoroughly love them. I mean, I probably know as many. No, I don't know as many because they don't have as many. But I got a pretty long, extensive Badfinger in my. If I could do a Badfinger night, I would do a Badfinger night.
You should.
Well, I might.
Yeah.
I might just do that depending on how things go here, because like I say,
Play
every month it seems
play some Magic Christian music for us.
I genuinely had thought about it, honestly, on my Thursdays, because I was doing Saturdays, but now I got gigs on Saturdays, and I thought I'd just do the Beatle night the first Thursday of the month, because I used to do that in town here, right across the street. There's a bar. How convenient. And I didn't want to lose I've gained so many people friends wise. I would have never met you if it weren't on the online thing, so I thought, well, I'll just continue to do the Thursdays, and I'm just going to try to pick songs and do them. But I had thought about doing a deal where I just played an hour of the Doobie Brothers, and the next time do an hour of Tom Petty, or it'd have to be something that I know a lot of. But I got over 3,000 songs on my tablet, so I could do that.
Play an hour of Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch.
No, I don't know if there's an hour of that available on my list.
I don't even know if there's 10 minutes available in my.
Yeah, because those albums were only like 32 minutes long back in the 60s.
Yeah. I only know like 4 of their songs.
Yeah, I think you got me beat on that. I don't think I even have that on record anywhere.
Yeah. I have some 45s, but that's it.
Right. 45s is something I have all the Beatles, they don't have the sleeves. That's probably the next thing I'd like to collect, is the sleeves. That's where the money's at, Yeah.
Well, I was able to, there's a record store in Buffalo. I was able to pick up about, I'll say maybe 13 Beatles singles, all with like the picture sleeves.
No kidding.
Some of them were like, you know, a little beat up, but
Right.
for about under $200.
Well, see, there's nowhere. I have to go online. And what I found really quickly was there's fakes,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't necessarily even care. I would just like to have, you know, the sleeve. If I don't care if it's fake.
I know that there's like fake ones for like, you know, Can't Buy Me Love, because that one's like,
That's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one everybody
but
talks about.
I don't think I haven't really encountered any fakes of like normal stuff like Help.
Yeah, I've got Help, and I got the Don't Let Me Down. That one, for some reason, why I have it, I don't know. I had an aunt who, my aunt was a 60s child, graduated like in 69, and she was George Harrison's wife, Patty Boyd. She looked like a Boyd, had the blonde bangs to her. I mean, she'd be embarrassed to hear me say this stuff, but I would go see her when I was younger, and she had Simon and Garfunkel and Donovan and all of that stuff on vinyl. And I would, and then she caught religion real big and gave up all of her records. Oh. Well, who do you think got them? Well, of course, me. And now she's still a very religious person, but now she's eased up on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, I still have those records on the shelf up. I got the Turtles over here that came right from your collection. I think she had a Kinks album. So she really was.
Is it the Turtles Battle of the Bands?
Well, I have probably 4 or 5 Turtles on is it White Whale?
White Whale.
I don't have, I mean, I got the one that was a greatest hits, had dual album. It had that one. I don't think I've got that one, but I've got some earlier ones. Well, I love the Turtles too. I mean, I love all of that stuff. The thing I love, I think what's made me successful as far as in this local area, because I've been doing this a long time up here, is that I love the 60s stuff. I love the Beach Boys surf stuff. I loved the singer-songwriter era stuff. Like I say, I got into the Southern rock stuff. I got into the heavy metal stuff. I got into power pop with the Raspberries and you know, what's the other, Shoes and Star, Big Star and stuff like that. So I got a pretty wide range of things that there's hardly anything. I don't know everything, but I can usually please somebody, you know, and they, unfortunately in my hometown, they try to get by me with stuff. And obviously I'm not going to know all of this stuff. I mean, I like ABBA. I got no problems with it. Love you know, ABBA. I would have joined ABBA any way I could have to stood behind those 2 girls in their spandex. Are you kidding me? Tambourine, whatever it needed to be, air theremin, I would have been the man.
You would have had a hard time because their 2 husbands were also in the band.
I know, they would have been giving me the stink eye, I'm pretty sure. And since they were all got divorced, I will say this: I'm not a country guy. I get blown an awful lot of crap in my neck of the woods because I am in the middle of, you know, farmland USA, when John Mellencamp is right down the road from us.
Yeah.
But I just made a decision early on in my career that I was not gonna do country. I don't mind so much some of the old country,
like Johnny Cash,
and I really do like Jason Isbell, and I like that, whatever they want to call that. I'm not sure what it even is, because it's what's country today on the country radio. It's
that stadium, you know.
Yeah, I mean in my day of that music. Yeah, I can't. And I get a ton of people walking up to me. Can you play this? Can you play that? Can you play Big Red Tractor? Can you play
Walking in Memphis?
In Little Red Cup? And I just am flabbergasted by it. Well, you mean you can't play that? Well, I could if I want, but I'm just not.
No, what you should do is turn around and then start playing like See Emily Play. Yeah.
So
or Green Tambourine.
Well, I could do Green Tambourine, but yeah, I don't. So that's got me into some hot water, because when I go into places, automatically what kind of music do you play? You better know some Jason Aldean. I'm like, I don't. Yeah. I can tell you now. I even used to put it on my flyers in the gig: no country, no karaoke. because they see my rig and they assume it's a karaoke setup, and it's not. You can go buy your own equipment and come out here and sing karaoke if you want to. I've had some terrible times with people coming up and singing because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I'll if you got a table of people there and they're buying drinks and they're having a good time, and somebody says, Jim over there, he can do a pretty good home Sweet Home Alabama, and I'm like, please. But if it helps keep people have fun, I don't mind it. But when they're terrible and they don't realize they're terrible and they insist on what else do you know? I'm like, God, dude. I'm sure Scott has the same. Scott's a lot sterner than I am. He says they don't even get anywhere near my stuff. Where I have people walk right up on my stage and grab a guitar. Like, what are you doing? And I'm 6'4", so I'm not. I mean, I could be imposing, but I guess I'm pretty easy.
How would they not be put off by the name Big D? He can probably fold you up like a garbage compactor.
Yeah, and I used to be about 300 pounds, so yeah, I could. I looked meaner than I really was.
Yeah,
but I don't know. My whole show is based on is everybody having a good time, and I getting them singing along, and we do one night. We'll do one hit wonders where I don't know if you remember K-Tel Records, and probably have 40 of those, and so I would just play one hit wonders and just see how many people would. Can you name who this is and that kind of thing. So I like the tables to be close. I don't care about dance floors. I want people right up in front of me so I can see their faces and that kind of thing. And that opens you up to that kind of stuff, Well, I'll take that. That's all right. It's usually every once in a while you'll get somebody up there who will really, really be good. And that's all right too.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to hit you with some more quick fire Beatles questions.
All right.
Did I ask you what your least favorite Beatles song was?
Well, the obvious answer to that's Revolution 9, but I don't.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I'm listening to a CD or something, what gets skipped.
Don't say Mr. Moonlight. Don't say Mr. Moonlight.
That was going to be easy cop-out number 2. I
love that song. It's so cheesy.
Yeah, personally, I like it. I think that it's hard to sing that, and then that keyboard is...
Oh, the keyboard's hilarious, though.
If I have to be honest, probably... Man, oh, man. I probably the ones I dislike the most are the ones I've heard a billion times. I don't know.
Yesterday,
the Long and Winding Road.
Oh, fuck, that one.
Long and Winding Road, and unfortunately, yesterday my mother loves it, and I'll get people
yesterday
that want to hear
came on the radio the other day, and I straight up turned the radio off.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Let it be probably happens. The thing about it is when I talk to people who don't like the Beatles, and I get some of those that'll tell me, Big D, I can't stand the Beatles. I say, well, what can you not stand? I just can't stand. She loves you, and I'll say, well, there's the problem. You're sick of the songs you've heard 1,000 times, just like I'm sick of the songs. Well, I'm a Beatles guy. Last thing I want to get asked is, I want to hold your hand again. Mm-hmm. I want to play "Don't Bother Me" or, But I said, I'm telling you, if you hear Savoy Truffle off the White Album or Hey Bulldog's the go-to, because as soon as you play that, especially the real, if you can play it, as soon as you play that to a rock dude, he's going, holy shit, who is that? Well, that's the
Hey Bulldog is fucking awesome.
I know, and growing up, I didn't, because it wasn't on anything. I don't remember. I think the first time I heard that was on that Rock and Roll Double album, because I didn't have the 45s. Did that Rarities album? Oh, there he goes. Always a winner. You need me to join in on that octave.
Yeah.
The 12 strings are just over in the corner. There you go.
That's why I like having the guitar on standby during these interviews.
I thought about hooking it up. I thought, well, maybe I'll just have it here just in case he says something. But I had gigs, and so they're still packed away.
Yeah.
But that's the go-to. That's the one I always do. And then if another one is they don't like the really psychedelic. They think the Beatles are all drugs and all that. And so then I'll play Here, There, and Everywhere or something along those lines and say, it's fun to do that. The ones that think Lennon's the screamer,
Yeah.
and that he never writes anything mellow, and that Paul's the ballad guy, and he never writes anything harsh. And then you're like, okay, well, check this out.
I know. Fuck.
That's what I thought you were going to. She said.
Something.
It's hard
like
to
that.
sing and play that one because it's got that timing issue in it. That's another one. You're hitting Revolver era.
Oh, I love Revolver. It's the best Beatles album.
I'm with you. I was a White Album guy for a lot of years, but I think coming down to it, Revolver's probably, if I had to take one, I'd take the White Album only because there's 2 albums and I get more music.
Well, to me, I feel like with the White Album, there's almost more filler.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, Ringo says that it was the most band that they'd been in a while, but you read all the recording, and Paul's in one room doing something, and George is in the other room doing something. I mean, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though, the worst song, that's a tough one because I don't hear the Inner Light enough to really qualify that.
Oh, that's there are a few Beatles songs which I find hard to categorize as Beatles songs because there's only one Beatles song, or there's only one Beatle on it. Like Yesterday is basically just a Paul McCartney song.
Right.
Inner Light's just a George Harrison song.
Without You, Without You's, I mean, I don't think it's nothing but George and a bunch of Indian guys doing all the parts. So I mean, there's a whole lot of, obviously we get into Abbey Road and stuff. There's stuff that John didn't bother to show up for. So that wasn't quite the harmonious situation that I always thought growing up that it was, when you start reading about John didn't show up or whatever.
John was on his 4-day heroin binge.
Yeah. And Paul, ends up playing lead guitar on damn near everything on an album. And you're thinking George couldn't have liked that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just embarrassing myself here.
No, you're playing them right though.
Yeah.
That could be a lot worse.
Well, since you're a 12-string player, what's your favorite 12-string Beatles song?
Well, obviously, I mean, Dear Prudence is there. The one I like to play on the 12-string is Long, Long, Long off the White Album, Harrison.
Like early Rickenbacker 12-string.
Shoot, I Call Your Name. I think that's cool. Yeah.
Fuck.
The cool. There's just the offbeat chords that he throws in there.
I'm just gonna put this down before I play something wrong again.
Well, that's a good one too. Yeah. That's a standard one. Yeah. I guess I split them because I think of the acoustic and the electric probably differently. Everything I do is on the 12-string though, so I'm used to them all.
Yeah. All right, we kind of touched on it, just to recap, what's your favorite Beatles album?
Oh well, if I had to go to it, a go-to no matter what, probably Revolver. But White Album.
Right answer.
It's right there.
Right answer.
And Rubber Soul. Now this is the English versions.
Yeah,
If we talk a U.S. version, then the Revolver's lost a lot of its balls as soon as they took off the Lennon songs.
They did, and it pisses me off.
Well, I can't imagine it didn't piss them off. I mean, it did, obviously, but man, I mean, that'd be terrible.
Capitol Records probably thought they were being smart by just not changing the cover and thinking they won't notice. They won't notice.
Make a bunch of money. They clearly did because that's what the whole Butcher cover was trying to, their disdain for it. And I don't know. As a kid, I mean, it was great. You got all sorts of 3 albums a dang year. You were like, this is awesome. 3 and 4 albums a year.
What is this? Christmas? Hanukkah?
Yeah. I get one for my birthday, my sister's birthday, July the 4th. I get a new Beatles album. That's great. Just straight A's on my report card. I get a new Beatles album. I'm there.
What's your least favorite Beatles album?
Holy crimey. Gosh, is there such a thing?
if you're
Can I
having
say-
if you're having trouble, you can pick from.
Can I say Yellow Submarine, or is that another cop out?
You can say it because I was gonna say you can pick U.S., UK. Fuck, you can even pick those weird '70s compilations.
Oh my gosh!
Like
and I have all
rock and roll music, love songs,
rarities,
real music.
Real music. Yep, I got all of them. I don't.
20 greatest
would
hits
say-
with the neutered version of Hey Jude.
Oh my gosh, the Hey Jude album. Yeah, well, that's the first time I got to hear some of those songs.
Well,
I probably listened to, man, oh man, it all depends on your. Gosh, it really depends on your mood, because it's.
see, I wouldn't consider Yellow Submarine a bad album because it gave
because
it gave like
it's all
two
too
of my
much on there.
It's got It's All Too Much and Only a Northern Song. And,
Yeah,
and
you-
It's All
you
Too
like
Much
the-
is the Beatles at their psychedelic best, you know.
Yeah.
Just a constant
Only Northern Song is pretty dang close, though. If we got headphones on, it's going crazy.
oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I can't say. Boy, that's tough.
because
If
It's All Too Much to me borders almost on those, like, you know, 14-hour Technicolor Dream type UK
Yeah.
psych jams.
rapid fire trumpets going off on the sides, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right. And I don't know that I've ever listened to the George Martin side. I really don't think I've ever listened to it.
What pisses me off about that, it's they don't even use the versions from the movie, which are better.
Yeah.
I actually had to take my DVD copy from 1999, put it in my computer. Luckily, it was 5.1, so I could just get the background
Transfer
music.
it.
And I got
Did
the
you-
actual, you know, background music.
Did you get the song? What was it called? Yellow Submarine Songbook? Is that what it is?
Well, that's song track.
Song track. Yeah, that at least that brought back.
Yeah, like it had Nowhere Man and for
Yeah,
some reason
it-
Think for Yourself.
Yeah. Well, at least they put that one on there instead of Yesterday Again or something like. Or All You Need Is Love for the 15,000th time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to say it, but probably if I could only take 6 Beatle albums, you know, I'd probably, it probably would be Please Please Me or With the Beatles. It would probably stay, just because
Really?
I can't not have Abbey Road, and I gotta have Rubber Soul and Help, and I've got to have Revolver, and I got to have the White Album. I got to have Magical Mystery
There we
Tour.
go. I was waiting for you to say Magical Mystery Tour.
I
'Cause I
gotta
was
have
worried.
Sergeant, and I've got to have Hard Day's Night,
Mhm.
because that's a great album. I mean, I like all of them, so it's impossible for me to
Yeah.
say that. If I could include the entire catalog, the whole thing, then I'd
Yeah.
drop one of the greatest hits ones that I've got 1,000 times.
It's like, why leave the Beatles records at home when you can just leave like a Monkees record?
Oh boy, Scott's gonna come after you.
I know. Well, you know, the Monkees, there's some really good Monkees
Yeah,
there's some really good Monkees albums.
I've-
But there's
I've got
also
several.
a lot of bad Monkees songs,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I don't know them well enough. I mean, I have some the greatest hits I got off Columbia House when I was a kid, and I never did really. I remember watching the Monkees a little bit. I think reruns, just like the Partridge Family, which I at least had the hot chick in it, so I was happy about that. Yeah, I mean, I was never a
You
over the
dirty
top-
dog.
I'm sorry, Susan Day. She, you know, I watched a lot of Brady Bunch too. I was 13 when I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah. Who is your favorite Beatle?
Now that's an interesting one, because growing up, I was definitely a John Lennon guy, and all through high school was definitely a Lennon guy. I'm going to make all sorts of enemies. But, of course, I love McCartney. I loved all of them, to be honest with you, but John was the one that seemed like his words got to me the most. It seemed like as a kid in high school and college. The solo album's the same way. Paul, I mean, I love Red Rose Speedway. I love Paul too, but in a certain period, Paul got just too schmaltzy for me.
Yeah.
He got too worried about being a big star.
I can't listen to the Wildlife album.
Well, and that one's, to me, that was more him just trying to, you know, there wasn't anybody to say that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And in defense, that's the same way with John. There's some songs that are like, John, maybe maybe you should mellow out on that, you know. And all of them probably, but who's going to tell McCartney no? For me, the worst.
That's why the Give My Regards to Broad Street movie was made, because no one had the balls to tell Paul no.
Yeah. When you get to McCartney too, I mean, I think every McCartney, and I do have every one of them on vinyl. Every album got cuts on it that are tremendous. He can write a melody, he can sing. I mean, I would buy them just for that. But with each album that came on, I started getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, there were some songs I just could hardly stand to listen to. And it with not Driving Rain, Flaming Pie kind of brought me back, because that one, there were a whole lot more that I liked than I didn't like.
Then Driving Rain pushed you back away.
Yeah, you know, it was, but Pipes of Peace.
Oh, fuck.
And those, they didn't, I have rarely listened. And I got friends who swear by it, that swear by those albums. But here's what I was going to get to. As the years have gone by, the older I've gotten. Just
as long as McCartney 2 wasn't included in that list of albums that you don't like, will be good. It wasn't one of my favorites. It really wasn't, because I loved Back to the Egg, and I was digging the lineup, and I was digging all of that. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you know, put an album where I'm doing it was, you know, a lot of synth. There were songs, there was Waterfalls on that one. So I love Waterfall. I love the B-side of Waterfalls, Check My Machine.
See, and I don't even know that I just haven't listened to it in a long time. But I remember at the time when I first got it, I was like, well, what is this? This is nothing compared to what I've been listening to. Some of it I did like, some of it I didn't. Maybe I need to give it a re-listen.
I think you should.
But as I got older, I never listened much to Solo George, to be honest with you, growing up, because the Hare Krishna.
Really? Even All Things Must Pass?
I know. I mean, it was all God loves the one who loves you, and I just didn't want to hear any of that.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to hear God of Thunder.
That's because I was a kid, you know, and you don't realize what he's talking about and what he's, you know, now The Art of Dying, and I mean, dang, I mean, all of those songs have such meaning. And then the musician side of me realizes these are the weird ass, the chords are alternate, strange versions and inversions of it. And the timings are weird Eastern 7, 8, 12. I mean, and I take these road trips where I play in a couple hours away. And so I put Living in the Material World in, and it just hits home. So now when you get songs like Be Here Now, and they're the ones I loved. Brainwashed. I mean, there's some albums that don't have a lot of great stuff on it, but I don't know. If I had to pick today, it's probably going to be George.
Really? And well, we all know Ringo's still out there. He's making music.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it. God love him. I would have never thought Ringo would be the one who'd still be with us. I thought he'd be the first one to go with all the health issues.
And with Ringo, he's still making albums, and that's the most I can say about them, that they are still being made.
As I look over at my pile of CDs, because I've been sorting them, getting them out of the cases now, putting them in sleeves so I can store them. My Ringo pile is giant, and it's because he just keeps putting stuff out.
Like one every 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, they keeps, and Vertical Man, I love that.
That came out like 20 years ago.
I know, but I mean, I had given up on Ringo by then. I had bought Bad Boy, I had Ringo the Fourth, I had all of this on vinyl, and they did not get much listen. Honest to gosh, I tried, and I've learned a bunch recently, because the couple of people that come out to my Beatle night are big Ringo fans, and so I thought, well, I'll surprise them and play a deeper cut from one of these other ones. But when you get to Vertical Man and Ringo Rama, you know, I think Hudson was producing that, so that sounded good. Weight of the World is Don Was produced that one. That was great.
Love that
I can't
song.
say I've listened to. I just haven't listened much to. I know he's got a new one out with What's My Name or something. That sounds.
Who cares?
It sounds like a Ringo anthem, but he's doing it. He's 80
Yeah.
years old.
He's still doing it, and that you can say that.
I get a kick out of the guys that talk about McCartney's voice and saying, well, he really can't. He should hang it up. And I'm like, he's 70. What is he, 78 now? And he's out there doing. He don't wuss out. I mean, he's up there. Dang, what,
he
3
hasn't
hours
even
almost?
He hasn't even changed the keys of many of his songs.
I know. And the thing is, everybody else leaves the stage. There's no drum solo. He stays out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody get up there and do 3 hours like he does, and still try to sing them. Maybe I'm amazed and some of that stuff. Well, that's ultimate respect.
He could get 30,000 people a show like every year, until he's dead if he wants.
Have you seen Paul live?
I have.
Boy, I didn't for years. I had a ticket to see him in Indianapolis, and they canceled, and I couldn't go. And then the Driving Rain tour, my dad called me out of nowhere because I don't know, he just said, this seems like something we should do. And I said, well, I'll try to find tickets. Well, they were sold out in Cleveland and Cincinnati and Chicago. There were no tickets. And I said, the only ticket I can find is in Atlanta. And oddly enough, Phillips Arena, which was my last name. And I said, well, they're $200 some odd a piece. And so me and my dad and his dad, the three of us, we drove to Atlanta to see him. And of course, my grandpa didn't go to the concert. He couldn't believe it. It was $200 for a damn, who you going to see? The Prince of, he's from Mississippi, so he didn't understand.
Well, technically he's royalty now since he's a sir.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I can't forget that.
Yeah.
But that, going to that, and I didn't think it would happen to me. I really, you hear stories of people getting emotional. I didn't think it would happen to me, but golly, he came out with, I think, Hello, Goodbye. I think the bass came on the screen, and You Say Yes, and oh my gosh, I mean, goose pimples came all over me, and next thing I know, I got tears. And then he goes into All My Lovin', and I'm looking at my dad. I was saying, holy crap. And dad's in the aisle. He's going up and down the aisle dancing. And that's just a great memory to have. And then I saw him years later in Indianapolis, but my ticket was like the guy that you get the ticket to.
Yeah.
He just pointed, see that last staircase? Yes. See that go all the way up to the top, go to the right as far as you can. That's your seat. So I was like in another planet.
I mean, there's still nosebleeds out of McCartney's show are still better.
Well, they had all of the. I mean, I wasn't missing any sound, and I wasn't missing anything because they had screens and PA. Hell, I think there was a speaker 50 yards away from my face. So
I saw the Who like 3 years ago.
Goodness.
Nosebleeds at the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and holy shit! Wait, you've played there?
Well, I haven't played that building, no, but I've been in Grand Rapids, yeah.
Yeah, but
no, I haven't. I wasn't there with the Who or anything.
Yeah. But
that's saying something. Seeing the Who though, because I do a lot of Who songs too.
I love the early Who.
Oh yeah.
Like my favorite 2 Who albums are the Who A Quick One and the Who Sell Out.
Oh, the Who Sell Outs. Yeah, I mean, just you can hardly. There's hardly a bad. I don't think there is a bad song on it.
Even the jingles are awesome.
I know.
Well, because they were ripped right from Radio London.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's another one I'm gonna have to get out.
It's smooth sailing with the highly successful sounds of wonderful.
You've got all this down.
Yeah.
We used to play Substitute and stuff like that back in the road band days. We'd rock it up and play it.
Oh Jesus, I still have the guitar here. Let's see, do I know how to play Substitute? No, the answer is no.
Oh, there you had it for a second. Do the 3-part.
Oh God damn.
So how many years ago did you see the Who?
About 3.
So it was basically the Roger and Pete.
It was the Roger and Pete show featuring Zach Starkey.
I was gonna say, was Zach playing the drums? That's
It was
unique.
well, it didn't even have Pino Palladino on the bass, which I was kind of sad about.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, the fact that Daltrey's still singing some of that Who stuff.
But the only negative thing I could say about the concert, you know the scream at the end of Won't Get Fooled Again?
Oh, yeah.
It was playback.
I
was so disappointed when I learned that, because it was so electrifying in the arena. Because I thought, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? What's it gonna sound like? He's 70 something.
Yeah.
And then he hit it, and it sounded just like the record, and we all went fucking crazy.
Too much like the record.
Too much like the record.
I think in that situation, I would have just brought somebody. I would have just said, let's bring somebody up from the crowd and just yell it, just scream it, because at 70, it's hard to imagine a guy doing that without, or else they all should have just screamed as loud as they could or something.
Yeah.
That's what, when I saw Kiss, that's what they used to open they opened when it said, when the screen came, they dropped the big curtain and it said, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, which I thought that was pretty cool. Now, I really wasn't into it because it really wasn't Kiss at the time.
Which Kiss did you see? Was it Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer?
Yeah, I got to see the reunion to the supposed last year. What was that? That was the original 4. Yeah. And I've not seen the Thayer one, but I did go to Terre Haute, Indiana to see Kiss in 1980. Was it 2 or 3? Okay. And we were fired. Creatures of the Night tour. We were fired up.
Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent.
Well, I knew Carr was in there, but nobody knew Vincent. Nobody knew Ace wasn't there. We got up there and like the T-shirts were on sale, and my friend was like, "Man, that ain't Ace." I mean, he looked like Ace. Yeah. He posed like Ace. He had Ace down to a T, but
he didn't have the makeup on.
He had an ink on his face or something like that, and I thought, "Oh my God." They had the big tank. Had the big tank that rolled out, and
I know way too much about Kiss than I normally should.
Well, I know I can't ever say I was I didn't religiously worship them.
No, I was never a card-carrying member of the Kiss Army.
I went because, I mean, it was the big thing to do. I remember the religious groups were in front of the theater, or the place that we went to, and the guy said, "Well, you know, it's their nights in service to Satan." And I said, "Well, Rush is royal ushers to Satan's honor."
Really?
And the guy freaked out. He said, "What?" And I just made it up on the spot. I was like, "Yeah, didn't you hear that?" And so I think I gave them a whole lot of evidence to use in their protests.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was right off the top of my head. I thought it was very Lennon-ish to be able to pull that off like that.
Oh, my God.
He thought I was dead serious. I was like, no.
Oh, wow. Hour and a half.
You're going to be doing some editing.
Only a little bit. I like to keep in the raw bits. All right. So, Daniel, Big D, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been great talking to you, man. And got through all the troubles and all that fun stuff. And now I know what kind of stuff I'm going to have to work on before I see you again.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm going to have you on my new show where we talk about some album.
That'll be great.
Got to figure out what album, though.
You'll play a cut, and then we'll just hack it out.
Well, I try and figure out a way to play a cut, but with the copyright issues.
Yeah, there's legal issues on there. What can you play, like 6 seconds of it? Do you? So what do we think about that song?
Or we just say, like, the next track, like track 7 is Do Ya. Yeah. And then just talk about
We'll pause for 5 minutes while you go to Spotify and listen to this song, and then come back.
We'll pause for 4 seconds and 28. Yeah. Oh, no, 4 minutes and 28 seconds.
Then come back and listen to it.
All right.
Yeah, it's been fun. I thought I was going to be talking about Beatles all night. I think we ended up talking about everything else.
Everything but the Beatles.
Yeah. We got lots of Beatles in there as well.
Well, it's still a Beatles show.
Yeah,
it's my show. We can talk whatever the fuck we want.
What Beatles fans like, I mean, that's probably one of the big struggles at Beatlefest is, as the late hour gets, you're so tempted. I think at the very end of Sunday night, sometimes I'll break into, I'll do some Badfinger, I'll do some Harry Nilsson.
Yeah.
Ruddles, of course. You throw some of that stuff in there, but it's hard because that whole group, they all know, just like you. I mean, you start talking about music. Oh man, I totally dig this, or I totally dig that, and you don't want to get off the path.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at a Beatlefest, you don't want to get off the path.
Yeah. Anyways, it's been a pleasure, Big D. Where can people find you?
You know what anymore? I don't know. Online, it's Daniel Phillips on Facebook. There's also a Big D Unplugged, but I got some live streaming there. I'm doing Thursdays Eastern time, 9:00. It's a little later than others do it, and going to be doing that for a while. I think on Thursdays, try to hold it to a couple hours, but I like to play. Gig wise, if you're in Southern Indiana, Southeastern Illinois, I can't talk now. I know I just play bars and moose clubs and anywhere I can play, backyard parties.
If you haven't checked out his live streams, do it. They are very entertaining.
Well, I appreciate that. It's going to be a little bit different. I used to do all requests, and I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to try to pick songs out of my list and just, try to be more, I want to dig some stuff out that
throw
I
some
haven't played.
Curveballs.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can't do all of them like that. I got to play some stuff that will keep people interested in it. But
play some Peter Frampton.
That's a good example. Instead of playing "Show Me the Way," I would go and find something that still was known, but you just don't hear it a whole heck of a lot.
Go back and play some Humble Pie.
Yeah, Smoking. I mean, it's all on 12 strings, so there's a different sound and a different feel. Like you were playing "Live and Let Die" earlier. I'll do that on the 12 string. I'll try to emulate all that. So
apologies to everyone out there who had to listen to me try and play songs.
Luckily, I didn't pick up my guitar. We'd probably be going for 3 hours here.
Anyways, thanks for joining. Everyone else out there, thanks for listening. You can go home now.
Fans on the Run is produced by Ethan Alexander. Additional voiceovers by Richard Phillips. This has been a Showtown production.